There is nothing that will humble a girl like seeing a real live monster in the middle of the road. So it, it was like one of those life changing experiences where I didn't know it at the time what was
Yeah.
happening or why even, but it's strange like how it's just unfolded and you think, really was this the plan for my life that I was going to see a monster in the middle of the road, decide that I couldn't shut up about it and say, okay, here goes the social suicide. I'm going to speak up and then just kind of be okay with that. Like,
Good evening, and welcome to Codega's Codex of Curiosities. I'm your guide, Rye, and tonight's episode is going to be full of fright and fear and scary things. Well, maybe not so much, but definitely something that will send the shivers down your spine. This episode is going to be about a pale crawler, and maybe something else, maybe a little bit of more. But how often do you get to hear stories about a crawler, or sometimes otherwise known as a rake? We're not going to go too far into me telling you what that is. Just you're going to find out from our guest, Missy. And Missy comes from Mississippi, and this story pretty damn scary. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump into some housekeeping. Well, you guys should already know what I'm going to be saying is if you're listening to this, that means you are listening on audio. Well, there is video as well. And not just that, on the YouTube channel, I've released a lot more content. So if you're just listening to the audio, you're going to get going to get one episode a week. But if you jump onto the YouTube, there's going to be a lot more episodes. Not like interview episodes, but there'll be town hall. We have one that is coming out. I'm joining up with Matt from Planet 412, Matt Emch, also the Sasquatchers, JC and Andrew. And we, every other week, we come together and discuss certain topics. A couple weeks ago, we were discussing Mandela effect. Last Tuesday here, well, this is going to be released later, so we'll just say the previous one was about what is space? Is it really the final frontier? Now, these are pretty great episodes. They're live as well, so you can take part. If you are enjoying it, and or you have some questions or some concerns, or just plain don't believe us, or you do believe us, leave us some comments. In that chat. It is great. It's great fun. Also, I just did another episode with Paul from our Paranormal Paul from Paranormal Among Us, and we interviewed the true paranormal, Daniel from the UK. And that was a fantastic episode. So you are missing out if you're just listening. So get over to the YouTube, hit that like, subscribe, hit that bell for those notifications so you can stay up to date on all the episodes that are coming out. And on that note, click that like. If you're new here, subscribe and have the bell hit for notifications to stay up to date on all of the new content. Okay. So, in just a couple seconds here, we're going to bring on Missy, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. A Kodega is a guide and a storyteller, escorting you through the night, lighting the way, warding off thieves, ghosts, demons, and other oddities. Along the journey, his companions would often share with him the most curious of stories that he'd record in his codex. Perhaps you just might find yourself traveling with a Kodega and sharing one of yours. Click that like. If you're new here, subscribe and have the bell hit for notifications to stay up to date on all of the new content. All right, everyone, We are back and we are ready for Missy. Missy's waiting in the green room and we're going to bring her onto stage. All right,
Hi.
Missy, welcome to Codega's Codex of Curiosities.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I know this has been a while. We've been talking for a little bit and definitely looking forward to this.
Me too. I'm excited. I haven't done one of these in a long time.
Perfect. Perfect. Great way to start is with Codega's Codex of Curiosities. So, why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about yourself and maybe where they can find you?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Really just I I was working in marketing and living a pretty standard life. I dare I don't say normal, what's normal. Um
Exactly.
but everything's was going pretty good. Had a house, a husband, a little boy at home, and I'm sorry, my dog is over there. I'm probably gonna have to text somebody to come get the dog out of here. But
Not a problem, not a problem.
uh, what brought me into this field basically is I was headed home from my mom's house, and
Mhm.
it was a Sunday, and I know that because I always go see my mom on a Sunday. And I rounded this corner, and I could see something ahead in the road, and I thought, well, okay, it's a deer. But I'm getting closer and something's not making sense. It's not a deer, and it's this pale, emaciated humanoid. It's on all fours, like just dead in the center of the road. And by the time I'm like on the thing, I'm at a complete stop, just staring at it. Its mouth was like gaping open, like it was on a hinge almost, like a scream face, but just like
Wow.
and no sound was coming out. And that part, like, I think about that part even today, I get chills. And this was like 2018. That was a while
Oh,
ago.
not that well, not that long ago, but yes. Wow.
Right. It seems like forever ago and then yesterday at the same time.
True.
Because after that, like, I'll tell and I can get into more of, what happened when I was sitting there, but it was like I never looked back. I have not been able to put it down. I think I said the other day to someone, like I'm one of those people. I'm like, we're going to the rabbit hole. And then we're like all the way into the middle of the earth. We've almost reached Magnum. And I'm like, we're there, guys, we're there. And I look up and everyone else has gone home. And I'm like, it's just me standing there. Um, but it disturbed me so much just because you think you know the world, right? And then if
Yeah.
this exists and I didn't know this thing was real, then what what else could be out there? And it just
It
raises all kinds of questions about the reality we live in. If it, what is reality even, and what are these things? And I ended up after the experience, it got to me so bad. I saw a therapist, and he was great. Really, he made me angry when I first sat down with him. But he ended up saying something, and this was the catalyst to it all. He was like, Missy, have you considered that there are other people who have maybe experienced something similar to what you did? And I was like, because when he planted that seed, that would play in my head over and over. Have you considered there's other people who've experienced something similar? And right, it was like I could hear it echo in my head. It was like it had acoustic to it when I would hear it replay. And I'm like, what is this guy has Jedi mind tricked me? So I started looking into it. And as it turns out, there are a tremendous amount of people who've had experiences with the entity that I described seeing in the road that night.
it's like PCA, Pale Crawlers Anonymous, it's kind of like
Well,
you need to find support groups or something like that.
it's true. I'm gonna suggest though, anybody who's looking for support, don't go on Reddit. Don't go
Yep.
don't go on Reddit looking for support because they can be they,
Vindictive.
well, they can be it's a cesspool over there
Yeah.
sometimes.
It
Um
it is.
yeah,
Like, you know what? Like when I was describing earlier that glitch in the Matrix thing that I had, and I
right.
posted that on Reddit and glitch in the Matrix. And of course there are people um there are people
I'm
that
getting
are
her
like
out. I'm
not a
texting someone right now. I'm so sorry.
not a problem. Yeah, there are people there. They're like, "Oh, you must have mental problems or something like that," and it's oh, and they're literally trying to diagnose me, and
Yeah,
like, Oh, you had a seizure. That's what happened. You had a seizure. And I'm like,
We we all know that you're saying these things from your mom's basement. How can you
yeah,
like, you know? Um, yeah,
exactly.
that they are so judgy, and for it to be for these subreddits to be places for people to talk about craziness, and then they get judgy about the craziness. What kills me is when they'll um okay, so they say something nasty to you and you say something back and it embarrasses them. So before you can even reply, they block you. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it's wild. It's
It
wild on
is. I like I do say like Reddit has that, but it also has there is some benefits to it. I have
that.
found like some gems on there. Like I I don't know if you recall my episode that we had when I was with the Lost Frequency with Ginger. She had some alien abduction stories, and then she had some other crazy other stories as well. And and she was on Reddit. It was kind of like we found each other on Reddit, and she's like, "Oh, I listened to your podcast," and so we ended up connecting. And she's like, "Oh, I have some crazy." Well, she had posted about a crazy story, and I'm like, "Hey, would you mind talking about it?" And she found out who I was and was pretty excited to come on. So
Yeah.
you can find like the diamond in the rough, I guess you could say.
Oh, absolutely. There are some gems on there. My One of my very best friends, one of my favorite people in the world, his name is Ethan. Hey Ethan, by the way. He's great. And he's like a true researcher, like he does he can put emotions to the side, and a lot of people lack this ability. It doesn't matter what hurts your feelings. We're trying, like, a lot of us are just trying to get to the bottom of this, which maybe we might never.
Hmm.
But if you're going to get caught up in the bullying and trying to tell someone they didn't experience what they absolutely know they did. Like, when you have
Yeah.
had an experience like that and someone invalidates you, oh, the pain. It's like it hurts almost as bad as, or sometimes worse than having the actual experience and wondering who am I and what's my place in the world now. So yeah, there are definitely some gems. I started on Reddit talking about the things that I was, because I had sat back for a long time and watched people and how difficult they could be. And I wanted that because I was like, if I'm going to talk about this, like, I want to be able to do so in a way that I'm not getting caught up in logical fallacies. So, like, I schooled myself on that. Because you can't really, when you can argue logic all day long. If someone's set in their beliefs, you're not going to change their mind. But you're definitely not going to change anybody's mind if you're just constantly appealing to emotion, and, oh, you should feel sorry for me, and this is the way it is because I said so, and all the ad hominem attacks. But I went on a tangent. I apologize. I
No,
have a lot to
that's
say.
fine. It's funny that you say that, you schooled yourself on the logical fallacies because I've done the same thing, like the red herring, ad hominem attacks, yeah, the
Appeal
straw
to
man,
Yep.
they're all out there. And of course, we're the ones who have to actually look into and discover them. Whereas the people who deny the experiences that have happened, you know, they just violate them all. And it's like, come on, like you can't have we can't have a decent conversation when you're denying things. And that kind of stems to I will say, like, there are certain camps when we get to certain cryptids that they're like, nope, it's only this, or nope, it's only that. And I'm like, we don't know. Like, it could be only this and it could be only that, but we don't know. And there's too many other interaction or experiences, or people have had too many experiences where the woo, as they call it, I don't really don't like that term, but
Yeah.
the woo occurs, and their experience just gets thrown out because no,
Yeah.
that doesn't count. And it's like,
But
oh,
yeah, it's like we get on the internet and we argue like everything's black and white, and we all leave and go live our lives in the gray area. you know?
so so true. Sorry, I had my mic muted. Did you hear what I was saying there, or
Telepathically, I did.
really?
I'm playing. No.
Okay.
From your facial expression, I could tell you were agreeing with me, I think.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. I was saying I gotta be a master of my mute today because the noise is a little loud. But Oh, okay. So I was saying that, there's two different, like, these camps. There's two different camps
Oh,
with the
I heard, yeah,
cryptids.
I heard all that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, I
Yeah,
wonder
and I
what it
was
made
just
it.
saying, I think I may have muted. I was like, it's like we get on the internet, we argue like everything's black and white, and then we
Mhm.
go live our lives in the gray area.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So, let's why don't you take us back into this experience? Let's start from the beginning. Let's you said it was 2018. Was it the spring or fall, or what time of year was it as well?
Okay. So, it could okay, at first, I didn't remember if it was 2018 or 2019, and everybody was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that means you're lying," but
Ugh.
it doesn't mean you're lying. Unless you have something to anchor memory to, it's not gonna and it's not gonna stick. I found out since when my mom passed, she kept a journal, a very detailed journal about she didn't write about herself or she wrote about me, and, so I was able to, like, kinda go back and watch her
Aw, that's
worry about,
sweet.
like so it was 2018, and it was
Mhm.
spring because I could smell honeysuckles. I remember smelling honeysuckles, and, my windows were down, and I remember that because my air conditioner and my Tahoe had gone out the day before. Um, and so this is really strange, but as I'm coming around the curve, the smell of Old Man aftershave, like an Old Spice type smell, just it was overwhelming, like, so intense that my eyes were watering, and I thought, "That's weird because I had this kind of fear coming out of nowhere at the same time, and I was smelling this weird smell, and I'm like, "Is somebody hiding in the back of my vehicle?" Like so then when I rounded the curb, it kinda dissipated a bit. I didn't feel as scared until I was, like, on this creature, and, I don't remember I don't remember seeing hands or feet. I just remember, I'm gonna send you some pictures in a second.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
for sure. Send them and I'll put
yeah,
them up
because
so then we can show them.
a friend of mine from, Beyond the Fray Publishing, I'm sure you've heard of them. They
Yep.
publish, like, Steve said yeah. He and, Shannon LeGros, great people, they had a, artist, like, actually do a sketch of what I saw, and so I've got that, and it was okay, so your nervous system goes into fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Yep.
Um, and I froze. I couldn't move. It seemed like eternity passed in those moments. Like, and it couldn't have been more than just a few, maybe even a minute. But I'm staring at this creature. It's got these huge, like, black eyes, and they're round, not almond eyes like a gray. I got the sense that it was animal, and these senses that I talk about, I got in that moment. I don't know where they came from. I don't know what because I didn't have any kind of comparison. There was nothing like that I'd ever seen before. I had, what I know to be gray aliens that I'd seen on TV, but it wasn't that. It was animalistic. It was humanoid. It had no hair. It was naked, and I say that and then think, "Well, why would it have on clothes?" But then why wouldn't it? Because I had no idea what I was looking at. So, and I'll smile when I talk about it now, but like I had a hard time. I laugh to keep from crying sometimes because I was sitting there, and at some point it gets up on its two back legs, and the skin on this thing, it almost looked like plastic stretched over bone. There was like no meat on this thing. But at some point, it stands up on its two back legs, and I'm in the road, and it launches itself to the left of me towards this field, and lets out this screech that is so. I mean, it. My ears were ringing. It was so horrifying. It sounded like a combination between like a mountain lion and a woman being what did they tell me I had to say? I can't say unalived.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know you couldn't say the M word anymore. But apparently
Yeah,
you can.
there's certain ones that you can't. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, unalived then. Yeah, like a combination of the two. It wasn't one or the other, but it was
Mhm.
also, I mean, I've grown up I've lived in rural areas my whole life. My dad took me hunting when I was younger. I've gone hunting as an adult. I've never heard anything like that. And it was horrifying. So then I drove off and I'm blank. There's like no memory of where I was when this creature like took off and I started driving again. I don't remember putting my foot back on the gas, nothing. And so then I'm pulled over on the side of the road and I'm trying to use my phone. And that was a really strange experience because I could not. it was like I was looking at something foreign. I couldn't figure out what to do with it even. I mean, I knew I had this thing in my hand and I knew that I could do something with it and I could get a hold of someone, but I didn't know how to do that. Um, which is trauma probably, because then after that I also had trouble finding my way home. And this is a drive I've made thousands of times. So I got back to my house and my daughter tells me, she was talking to me the other night about it. We hadn't, I don't talk to my kids about it much because it's just like my mom's that crazy lady who who put out ads in the local newspaper looking for other people who'd seen this creature. And that they support me, but we just really hadn't talked about it much. And she was like, oh, I remember that night well. She was like, you came in, I was about an hour late than expected, and she was like, you went straight to the bedroom and you didn't come out for a few days. And that surprised me because I remember sitting in the bedroom for the entire day, like, and I was literally like staring at a wall, like, because I couldn't. I mean, I'm sure I was having a very urgent conversation with myself, but I don't remember the exact dialogue, but probably like, okay, Missy, you are losing your mind. How long do you have before everyone figures it out? And if they figure it out, what are they going to do with you? Like, can you play this off or, um, so that was, I'd also wet my pants and I'm not embarrassed to say that. Like one of my friends told me once, he was like, Missy, number one, it could have been worse. And number two, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I got you. Yeah, it could have been worse. It could have been way
Yeah,
worse.
and number 2,
Yeah. Yeah. Say no more. Yeah, it could have been
yeah,
worse.
and that's not a that's not a uncommon thing from some of these experiences. You talk
Not
to
at
some
all.
people Martin Groves when he had an experience with Sasquatch and Dogman at the same time. Him and his partner both wet and soiled themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, but your body does that. That's what I mean.
Mhm.
That's a natural process to haven't seen something like that, having something like that happen. You evacuate because you're preparing to die.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Hush,
exactly.
Clip. I'm sorry. These
That's
dogs.
okay. That is okay.
You already said that. She just repeats herself. um, I'm getting them out of here. Let's see what. Okay, so after that, I had I tried to go on with life. I
Mhm.
tried to forget about it, but okay. Let me get this dog out of here.
No problem, no problem. Let's take a quick break then, and
Okay,
I'll put
awesome.
something in right now. Click that like. If you're new here, subscribe and have the bell hit for notifications to stay up to date on all of the new content. Okay, Missy. So you were just telling us that you were in your room. Your daughter had told you you were in your room for almost a couple of days.
Yeah.
That's intense. Like that is, this is an experience of a. I don't want to say of a lifetime because that usually has a positive connotation to it, but this is like an experience that just rocks, shakes your world, your foundation. Um, that is crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say that because I okay, so it's not necessarily a negative thing. And at the time, if you had asked me this and told me, in 5 years you're going to talk about how this was a good thing for your life, I would have told you you were out of your mind, and I would probably slapped you. But when when this happened, I was okay. So obviously, I'm not the same person I was, and I wasn't terrible, but I thought I was. I had this attitude like I was better than other people. It didn't bother me one bit to like hurt someone's feelings. I was kind of tactless, just not horrible. I would virtue signal, till the cows were coming home, but just in my heart, I wasn't that connection you have to whatever is out there, that place that we all come from and go back to. It was very lacking. And I wasn't eating puppies, but I was not very kind. And there is nothing that will humble a girl like seeing a real live monster in the middle of the road. So it, it was like one of those life changing experiences where I didn't know it at the time what was
Yeah,
happening or why even, but it's strange like how it's just unfolded and you think, really, really, was this the plan for my life, that I was going to see a monster in the middle of the road, decide that I couldn't shut up about it and say, okay, here goes the social suicide, I'm going to speak up, and then just kind of be okay with that. Like, and then just my capacity for compassion and like accepting people, all people for who they are, and understanding that I am no better than any individual out there. That I could almost tear up. That has been I wouldn't take any of it back. None of it. I've just
Wow.
met some of the weirdest, most amazing people, and I kind of like I've always kind of been one of those people who's like, if things are real awkward, I enjoy it. Like I like I can if it's real awkward in a room or something, like I'm like, how can I make it more awkward? 'Cause I'm one of those like I'm one of those. So
Let
it
me
didn't
tell you about what I saw on the road. Yes.
yeah. Or yeah, when I first started writing the book, my son went to a birthday party. And so I go to pick him up, and the mom, fortunately, most of them were gone, but I walked in, and his little friend's mom says, Britton says you're writing a book. And I was like, or you got a publishing deal. And I was like, oh, yeah. You ready, buddy? And she's like, well, I asked him what it was about, and he said he didn't know. I'm like, yeah, it's just, just a little autobiographical. There's some weird monster in the road, Teresa. There was a really weird monster. Actually, it was right down from your house. Yeah, it was though. So, but that's what I mean about
Bless
adding the
your heart.
awkward. Bless your heart. Yeah, I could see the whispers after. They didn't ask me to stay for cake either.
Exactly. Like, okay, please leave.
Their face the whole time. Their faces, they're just like and I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna tell you I'm kidding, like, this happened."
Yeah.
It's funny, like, telling the truth will a lot people say they value truth over all else, but no, they don't. No, they
Mm-mm.
don't. So,
They like the comfort of lies.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because yeah, it's a lot more comfortable to it was a lot more comfortable for me to tell myself prior to this that I was such a good person, like, I got to work on time every day, I made good money, I was doing, but I was a bit I was in my heart, I kind of felt empty. Something was
Mhm.
missing, and I don't know that I was even aware at the time how like I was growing increasingly uncomfortable leading up to this incident. But so
But
I just
let's sorry,
go ahead, go
sorry to
ahead.
interrupt you.
You're
Let's go
good.
back to that incident. So there's something I want to touch on is that aftershave, like the Old Spice cologne. What is your thoughts on how that actually ties into this?
I have no idea because there have been obviously I've done a lot of research since then, and I've read things from somebody spelled blueberry pie to someone smell the smell of rotting meat. But
Mm.
here's something that's crazy. I had to get someone else to cut my yard the summer that I was writing the book. And so I hired a new yard guy, and he comes and he's making small talk. And what do you do? Oh, I work from home. What do you do from home? I write. What do you write about? And then things get real awkward, right? And so I start telling him, I'm like, look, I was going down the road one night, and there was this creature, and he interrupts me, and he describes the exact creature.
What?
Yes, because he and his girlfriend saw it too. They saw the same thing, and this is on the same road. And I'm asking, I was supposed to interview him for the documentary, and we're gonna have to go back and do a round two. So maybe I can get him on the second. Maybe I can get him this summer because we didn't get everything we needed in January. But he's like, yeah, we accidentally ran off the road. Um, and this no wait, he pulled over to use the bathroom,
Okay.
and he said all of a sudden, it was like I smelled my grandpa, and when he said that, I was like, I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him that
Mhm.
I had also I was searching my car the next day after this happened for like some rogue bottle of Old Spice because it was so strong, but I don't know what to make of that. I could speculate and I could say, where's my tinfoil hat? Because,
Yeah.
you
It it
wonder
it almost
when you
sounds like it was, like, trying to create, like, a comfort, like, something to comfort
known
and calm yeah, something. It's
or
like you said,
lure
my grandma
even.
I mean, sorry,
Yes,
like you said, his grandpa, you're like, oh, it's Old Spice, which would be like grandpa as well, or
that was my
blueberry
grandpa.
pie. Yeah, or
Yes.
blueberry pie, the other person, but rotting meat, of course, is completely on the other spectrum,
Yeah,
but,
like Yeah, it's like maybe they're not as whatever these things are, and I do believe that. Well, I believe that they're not just purely physical. I think that they kind of go back and forth between, which is I know sounds crazy, but when you get to look into things like this, it's just like the number of stories that you read, and I've read so many, and I've even okay, so I'm a nerd, so I take all these stories and I input these into software that pulls data points.
Okay.
So like I've got a profile of these things, and like just because something is true for one person's story doesn't mean like the presence or absence of that one thing uh, you know validates any claim or
Mhm.
invalidates any claim. But there are some really strange even the mimicking voices that I got a story from this one guy, and to date it's the scariest story I've ever heard as far as these things. I call them crawl. Well, the first time I saw it, I think I called it a chalk white. What the yeah, WTF? Because it was like chalk white, but
Yeah, and
yeah, it gets
actually, that's
wild.
something. Sorry, that's something I overlooked. I was going to ask you the color of the skin. So you're saying it was chalk white? Yeah.
But almost okay, almost transparent like a dolphin skin. Wet like dolphin skin, but like almost transparent like okay, when a baby bird is born and you can like see all of its this I don't take apart animals or anything, but like one falls out of a nest, your cat gets it, you see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But more so than that, I've also seen them described as like a blob, like a blob of jelly type stuff. And I don't know. I don't look. I've been researching this since I guess so. I guess it would have been 2019 maybe that I really got hardcore into it. And I still couldn't tell you what these things are. I have an idea, like I don't even know if it's a good idea. I could still be so far off, but I'm pretty sure that they come from some sideways place that is just kind of
Like
sometimes
like the upside down from Stranger Things, almost in a way.
right. Yeah, yeah, and I think I've heard that that was based on Project Montauk. Strange,
100%. Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's weird. That's really weird
Yeah.
for
They
sure.
opened a doorway and things came out.
Yes, yeah, and then you've got what was going on at the Miami Mall. That was
Yeah, I don't know about that. That I have a lot more questions than I do. I'm almost believing that it was what they say it was, and
yeah.
I don't
And I
know.
was I was in that boat too until I realized that exactly 1 year ago on that same day, the news reported the exact same thing of teenagers shooting fireworks at the mall. About 10 cops show up and they get it under control. But when the people who were in the mall started coming out and talking about what they saw, I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of, there's something going on there. um, I mean, if you're ever bored, like look into that.
Okay, yeah,
It's
I know. I've been asked a couple of times to look into it, and I really, it's not for the lack that I don't believe or want to believe. I've just been so busy, but yeah,
That's how
I
I
definitely,
was.
yeah.
And you know what? I think I didn't want to believe. I thought that's so outrageous. And isn't it so convenient that we're supposed to have a Jeffrey Epstein drop, some sort of Jeffrey Epstein information is
Mm,
supposed to drop, and here comes this. So I filed it away, and I was like, it's BS. But
yeah, yeah,
the if you put the coordinates of the Miami Mall, that where were they? Where they were in what Bayside Mall,
yes,
if you reverse latitude and longitude, you end up in Antarctica, square in the middle of Antarctica. And so this
really.
girl, yeah, this girl was like, these interlopers or whatever. I don't even know what an interloper is. I don't even know if I use the right word, but these travelers, they just put the coordinates in wrong. And I was like, that is really crazy, but it's not that crazy. Like that's possible that happened. Like,
Hmm.
but a lot of
That
people described the exact same kind of entities because I'd written it off too. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Okay,
so much out there.
that's something I will look a little bit more into because you re I really don't know. I really don't know.
Who does? Who do
Yeah.
Someone, but not I mean, that's when you were saying that about experts. Ugh. I'm weary of anyone in this field who calls himself an expert.
Yep. Yeah, I would call myself more of a collector. I'm a collector of all these experiences and these knowledge, and just compiling it, putting it together, and trying to make the best. guesstimate that I can on everything, and I do develop an opinion, but
Mm.
it's my opinion is open to be changed and and molded differently the more information I get.
Yes, yes. So that, and I say the same thing. Like if I'm presented with any kind of information that's going to contradict what I currently believe, then I have to, I've got to look into it. But I tell people, like, I do, the people who do this kind of stuff, I know, like, everybody thinks we're, well, not everybody, but a lot of people think we're straight jacket crazy, and that's fine. But like, I think I even said this in the book, like, we are driven, like, by something we absolutely must know, like, internally. It is a drive, and we feel like life would be just totally incomplete if we didn't spend it searching for answers. Even if the answer is you're never going to find an answer, I'm okay with
Yeah,
that. I just like the
yeah,
questions.
I agree. We were talking to Sean Hibbler, a
Mhm.
couple like in the past there, and he had said, we're all at heart explorers. Whether it's exploring for new land or exploring for new answers. We're at heart explorers. We want to go on this journey and we want to discover new things. And it doesn't have to be land. It can be these cryptids. We're discovering, trying to figure out these cryptids, and I think it's a great and noble quest for us to be doing, and for you to be doing that.
Yeah, and you find out if you like, if you can stay humble, like, the real exploration is going in. Like, that's when that's when you really start to, a lot of things start to make sense. The synchronicity start. You like realize whatever all this stuff is, it's kind of the same thing. Like,
It
I hated to come to that conclusion. That's where I'm at with it basically these days. Like, it's all the same. Like, I don't know, and I know that sounds weird, but
No,
obviously, do you know
it's
what I
all
mean?
connected. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all connected. Like, of course, some things are different, but at the root, they're all connected. I believe that they all kind of are sprouting, or I don't know. I don't know, but I believe you're onto something when you're saying that they're
Well,
connected.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think, like, okay, so this goes back to hermet. I think it's hermetics. I hope I'm saying that word right. Like, there's one. Okay, they say there's one substance, and everything is made of this one substance, and it appears as different things. It can appear as different substances, but it's really just this one substance, because you have 12 notes in music, and all these notes have a different octave. And so all these vibrational frequencies, they appear different, but it's really just one thing. And that, like, when I read that, that kind of hit me pretty hard. I was like, that makes so much sense.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Sorry, I had my mic muted again. The the
No,
the,
it's
the
okay.
dogs are going bananas. It's probably because it's going to be a full moon soon, but not yet. But yes, no,
Yeah.
I totally agree. And yeah, your pronunciation of hermetics was completely correct.
Yeah. Okay, so
Let,
you
let's yeah. So let's go on from this. So you had this experience. Where did it take you from there?
Okay, so from there, I thought, okay, I'm gonna tell a friend. I'll feel better. I've known this girl since we were 5. She'll get me. She'll give me hugs, and it'll be over. And she, I tell her, I spit it all out, and I was just like, and I felt like a lot of relief after, until I looked up and saw her face, and she was like, I just, like, kept that deadpan face forever. She said, "2 things, hon. You need to talk to someone about this for sure, but it needs to be a professional. You do not need to discuss this with anyone else." And she calls me Miss. My friends call me Miss and Mip. I don't know. Well, my brother couldn't pronounce my name when he was younger, the little retard. So I got stuck with the, sorry. Hey, John Wesley. Kidding. So, Miss, you'll ruin yourself. This is social suicide. Like, you can't do this. You work too hard to build up a good reputation. Because I was, in the marketing community, I had done well for myself, and she's like, you can't become one of those Bigfoot is real people. And when she said that, I was like nodding, and then I thought, holy crap, I bet Bigfoot is real. Because I'd never, I knew Bigfoot was a thing. I just didn't, at the time I had this encounter, I just didn't know Bigfoot was a cryptid. I didn't know that cryptids were things. I knew that apparitions and ghosts were real, because I had a lot of experiences with that as a kid. And, I would see an apparition walk through a wall. and it was no big deal because it was just like it was part of my everyday experience. Now I learned pretty quickly when I got to maybe first grade that it was not cool to talk about those things, and that was not part of everyone else's experience. But the thing about this creature in the road, like it was flesh and blood. I felt like if I had fired a shot into it, it would have hit the thing and it would have bled. An apparition to when I was younger, and I don't know, I don't know that everyone experiences them the same, but a lot of people think that they are transparent. That wasn't the case. That was not how I experienced an apparition. It was gray. It was like this gray type of, and I saw them so frequently. I had categorized them. There were, and I was 6, so it was like over and
Wow.
overs. So they were like the ones that would like be repeating the same pattern of behavior, like circling an area, or and then there were the scream alouds, and that would be the ones that would scream my name really loud in my ear. And then there was this orb that came out. I had all of that, and so I felt like pretty confident because I'd experienced that world and I felt like I knew what that world was. But then here I was with this creature in front of me, and this is the world I'm a primary resident of, and I have no idea. Like, I have no idea I think this is the world I know the most about, and here's this thing. And so after that, my friend said, speak to a psychologist. And so I was like, fine, because at that point I was at my wit's end. I couldn't let it go. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so I had to figure out something to do with it. And so I made an appointment, and I got really lucky because I don't know what would have happened if I had not had the therapist that I did. He was a mess. He was all over the place. I walked in, and his desk is like covered in post-it notes, and I'm like, I bet he loses those every time he writes down a thing. Like he'll, and so
Yeah.
I bet I can trust this guy because that's kind of, I'm a little bit like that. And then I look down and I see one of them. It's turned over, but he read it permanent marker, and it's like it bled through, and I could see it says Missy 10:30 thinks she saw an alien. And I'm like, this mother. So I sat down, and he
Like, oh
done
my god. Yeah.
we exchanged he gets the credit card info and all, and he's like, so what brings you in today? And I was like, first of all, I didn't think I saw an alien. I know what I saw. It was there. And I never said it was an alien. I said it was alien like. And then everything just came like, I mean, I couldn't stop. It was like word vomit. I told him everything down to the spread pattern that the urine left on my blue jeans because it looked like a dove in flight. And I don't know why I thought it was important to include that part, but I told him all of it. And so then I finished, and I sat there for a second, and I expected to feel better, but I didn't. I felt the same. And he's like looking down at his hands. And I'm like, here we go. And he's like, I said, you don't believe me, do you? And he took a deep breath, and he looked up, and he's like, here's the thing, Missy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether or not I believe you. And I'm like, didn't I just pay you to believe me? Like, what is this? There's no couch, first of all. I'm sitting in a wooden chair. You like this
This
is
is bullshit.
Yeah, and you don't believe, and it doesn't matter. Of course, it matters. I need you to tell me. Not only do you believe me, but I need an entire history on what these things are and where they come from. That's what
Yeah.
I mean. It's crazy, but that's what happens when expectation meets reality. It's rarely aligned. But then he went on, and he told me that he said that he did not think that I had hallucinated. He did not think I was suffering from mental breakdown. That I was appeared to be of sound mind and body. He was like, you're wise and you're bright, but you're shaken. And I think you'll recover. And I was like, well, that's great. Thanks. I was still just so mad. And he's like, that's when he said, I'm, this was something else too. And this hit me pretty hard. He's like, I'm going to tell you something because I think you're going to appreciate this. What matters most is what you're going to do with the situation you find yourself in. And I'm going to tell you, there are going to be times in your life when you don't want to do something, but you absolutely must. And then there'll be times in your life, when you want to do something and you probably shouldn't. But decide decide what moment this is. And maybe you should see if there are other people out there who have experienced something similar. I could almost tear up because if he had that, I mean, just
Wow. That's
I didn't realize.
powerful. That is powerful.
Well, and I mean, he gave me my power back, right? Because that's what I had done. I expected to go in his office and be told, I'm the authority, and this is what has happened, and this is the mental disorder you have. Here are your pills, good day, ma'am. But he didn't. He was like, maybe you should look into that. And that man, I could check. I saw him the other day, and I just hugged him so big because he knows I've got the book now, and or will have the book soon, and he knows everything that's gone on. Um, but what's crazy? Do you want to hear what's really crazy?
Of
Right
course, of course.
as we were filming the documentary, I've got a real good friend. His name is Jeremiah Byron. You might have heard of him. He runs Bigfoot Society. Man, he's a hustler too. He's putting up 2-3 episodes a day. Makes me tired just watching it. Yeah,
That
he's
is a lot. Like,
whew,
I'm like 2 episodes, maybe 3 a week,
I
and
can't.
that's like I can't fathom 2 or 3 a day.
Oh man, but he's the nicest. This conversation I'm having with you, and then the conversation I had with him, two of my very favorite, because it's not like a structured interview. You're talking to a friend, right? And he was
Ex
so awesome. But he had this woman get in touch with him, and she said, I want to speak to the girl who was talking about the crawlers. I'm a psychologist, and I'm having people come into my office telling me about these experiences with these pale emaciated humanoids. And these men are military. They can't go to the VA. They can't go to a military approved doctor because they're worried they're going to lose their clearance or they're going to lose their job. And she was like, I'll tell you, it is happening so frequently now that myself and my fellow clinicians have begun to discuss it.
Really?
Oh,
It so
yeah.
it which is crazy, kind of like on the track of, like, Dogman. Like, Dogman was not really, I don't wanna say it's non-existent, it was existent, but it wasn't much, and then all of a sudden, it just seems to be stepping up and escalating, and,
Yeah, I
yeah.
I know, and I mean, it could be a lot of things at play. Is the veil thinning? Of course, I mean, it always is. Every National Enquirer magazine I've seen since I was like 10 years old has promised me Jesus was on his way back the next week. You know what I mean? um,
Though, the funny thing is those kind of, like, National Enquirer or whatever they were, years ago, I was like, as a kid, I'm like, "Oh, these are hilarious, these are a joke." Now I'm like, maybe there was some truth to some of those ones. Maybe there was some actual truth in them, hidden with all this, tomfoolery.
like go back and look at some of the covers. Like I
Like
have. I've got,
like
and
Bat Boy. It's
yeah,
like yeah.
woman gives woman gives birth to baby Bigfoot. Yeah.
Oh
Um,
god.
it is it not interesting though? Those were right at eye level for us kids. Like that, and they call it in marketing because I worked in marketing. They call that the nag factor. If you've got something at a kid's eye level, they'll nag their parent to buy it. But those
Really?
National Enquirer magazines were like right at, and I'm only like 5'1". Okay, fine. I'm 5 feet, 5 feet and 1/2. Fine, 5 feet. But they were like right eye level. I don't even remember why we were talking about that. I'm sorry. I'm bad about
That's
tangents.
alright, that's alright. That no, I get distracted very easily, and yes, but
Oh, we were talking about why is it happening more frequently? Is it
yes.
I don't it could be that, but I think it's also like the 100th month, is it called the 100th monkey effect? A monkey
The
starts
100 The 100 Monkeys, yes. I actually talked about this in one of my previous episodes where, they throw the potatoes in the sand, and then they teach one how to wash it, and then it ends up teaching them all, but then they do it on another island, and they know what to do. It's, like, transferred
Right,
over.
yeah, and there's been no communication. They just
No
they
communicate.
start washing their potatoes too, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think it's like you have a group of explorers that come in, and they do, they set up a civilization. It's the same with information. When you have people who are coming out and they're like, "I don't give a crap what you think. I'm gonna tell you what happened, and if you don't like it, you can eat dirt," right? It makes it easier for the next and the next. And I think there's a lot. I mean, it's a number of things, but I think that has a lot to do with it. Um, yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I had to have it muted again. There was a loud vehicle going by, but I agree. I think that's a great theory. Like you're saying that they kind of establish a foothold, and it's making it more and more easier for.
I can't drink that. I'm sorry. Well, the sugar is just.
It is intense. Yeah, Mountain Dew is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be up until like 2 a.m.
It's gonna
looking
be
at
white.
National Enquirer pictures.
Yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly. Well,
yeah,
you had sent me the picture of the crawler, of that, like, this is not of what not your crawler, but, like,
the trail
this
cam
was.
photo.
Yes, yes. So what I'm
Yeah.
gonna do is I'm gonna pull that up here right away, and we're gonna take a look at it.
Yeah, I could tell you a couple of things about it if you wanna know.
Definitely. Okay, so I'm going to give me 1 second here as I do this. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so when I got back from seeing the therapist who I swear Jedi mind tricked me,
Yeah, yeah.
I get online and I think my first search was like, uh, pale humanoid in rural area or something like that, and
Mhm.
I was pretty shocked at all the results, but then I'm seeing like, wiki, the wiki that wiki fandom or something, I'm like, "Okay,
Yes,
this."
yes.
But then I found crawler sightings, the Reddit subreddit
Okay.
crawler
Yeah.
sightings, or is it crawler encounters? I'm not it's one of those.
I think it was sightings, yes.
Yeah, and I'm reading these stories, and I'm like I mean, it blew me away because I think I probably read through the entire thread. At that time, there were probably only about 6,000 members. And do you know
Okay.
today there are over 50,000 members? And this was just
Jeez.
yeah. But I was reading and I've said this before and I still can't explain it any better than the first time I tried to articulate it. There's something about having an experience like this and then reading the words of someone else who's experienced something very similar, like you something about it, you connect in a way, you connect to the material. There's
Yeah.
some sort of it's not just what they're saying, it's what they're not saying. It's like and if you're in person, it's like, the breaths on either side of the word, or when you think about the times that your hands are held and they're not, and or you feel all these sensations like they're I think that's where intuition lives. And so I think I'm pretty good at being able to read between the lines and know when I'm not above being fooled, and I'm sure I have been plenty of times. But there are some of these stories, and I connect with them deeply because it was like we were all trying to communicate something that can't really be communicated in language. But they all had something in common, and I thought it was curious. But I had been researching for about 6 hours, and I could not hold my eyes open. So there was this thing they kept saying. I just had to leave it till the next day. But it was what I saw, and this is what the people telling their stories were describing, looked just like that trail cam photo, even though that's been debunked, or even though that's a proven fake. And it was like they were very intent on making sure that everyone knew it looked like this, but they had to make sure that they said, I know that picture's fake. I don't believe it's real. Almost like it was uncool for it to be real. And I don't know. Yeah, I had that vibe at the time. I just thought it was strange then. I didn't know why they were saying it. Just seems like such an odd piece of information to include. Like if you saw something that looked just like that, why would then you saw something that looked just like that? Why are we including this? So I ended up going to
Exactly,
it,
exactly,
it was
and, like, if they're like, "Oh, it's a fake," well, is it really if this is identical to what you saw? Like, it looks pretty creepy.
It's so similar, and at that point, I hadn't seen it though. I was just reading the stories, and so I was like, I couldn't hold my. I was doing the thing where when you're half asleep and you're like trying to text someone, you got one eye open because
Yeah,
you're so
and
tired.
then you sit there with the phone in your hands for a little bit without doing anything, and then you're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm back, I'm back."
Right. Or wait, I was
Yeah.
falling asleep texting something. Yes. Yeah. So I was at that point, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to go to sleep. I think I
Mhm.
took a 3 hour nap, to be honest, because I mean, it was a big deal. Validation is medicine when you have seen something like this and you find
Yep.
stories like that. It wasn't necessarily like the direction I thought my life would go in, but here we were. So then I get up the next morning and I'm like, okay, um, weird humanoid trail cam photo. I don't even remember what I typed. I wish I probably could find my search history, but I
Yeah.
don't have the time or the patience to go looking for it. But it was something like that. So this picture pops up, and I was very fortunate to have a wastebasket right next to my desk because I vomited when I saw
Really?
it. Oh man, because okay, so what I saw was smaller than that,
Mhm.
and I don't know how I know it was smaller because in a picture you can't really. But it was like what I saw was a child, version of this, and it was from the side. Um, and I'll send you that picture to put up.
Okay. Yeah. We'll put that up after this, but yes.
Okay, yeah. So, I was looking at it and I'm just like, okay, either someone saw this thing and made a version of it and put it on the internet, or accidentally captured in their artwork an actual, like, something that was really happening, like an actual
Mhm.
phenomenon. But neither seemed that doesn't seem plausible, because the I mean, it's like taking a picture of a bear and nobody's ever seen a bear, and you see a bear and then suddenly there's one on your screen and everyone's like, that's fake. It didn't make sense to me. So I'm like, okay, I'm fixing to figure this out. Who debunked it? How did they do it? Like, what does it even mean to debunk something? I didn't even understand that, you know.
Yeah.
And that was my descent into pure madness. I don't know how my family put up with me. And I did all the research, and people think like that was done over a period of, like, I don't know, a week, a month. No, that took me 3 years to get to the bottom of it. And
Wow.
I went hardcore because, okay, so it was like everyone who was saying it was debunked, they kept referencing this blogger. His name is, I don't know if this is his real name, but his website is Wired Web, and his name is Job West. That's what he went by on the website. And he lists, he puts the picture up and he lists all these reasons that he believes it's fake. And I was reading through them, and like at the time, it was pretty intimidating because I mean, he had all this technical jargon and things that I didn't understand, but some of it was just stupid. Like, there's the guy who okay, you get to the source of the photo, and it's a hunting forum called Archery Talk. And the guy who uploads the photo uploads it, and then the forum members begin to reply. And he puts up another photo to prove that it was his trail cam because it shows the same area. So in these two photos, this one of this creature and this one of this deer, there's this tree, and the date shows that there is a 9-day gap between one photo and the next. And he's like, there's no way that the leaves on the tree wouldn't have changed at all or fallen off because it was November. And I was like, that's ridiculous. um, so that was one of the places I started. I was like, okay, I'm gonna call my friend Audrey, because Audrey's a botanist and she'll know. But I did crop the picture out so that she couldn't see the creature, because I, I wasn't gonna be
Of
like, hey
course, of
Audrey,
course. Yeah,
here's
you
this
want
picture. Check out this plant.
yeah.
But she said it was a plant called sassafras, and it was absolutely. She said it was actually more probable that it not lose leaves, because species like that were known to hold on to their leaves all the way through winter and into the following spring. Um, and there were a bunch of other things. I've got I had a YouTube video, and then I have an audio book. I've got a book that I was going to put on Amazon after the documentary, but I'm probably fixing to go ahead and publish that to Amazon.
Okay.
And I will let, yeah, because it's just, I'm ready. I'm ready. It's been long enough. And it goes into a lot of things, but the biggest thing, and this is what people really, I think, need to be careful of. There are file decoder programs called like JPEG Snoop, or I mean, you can upload an image, and it'll tell you details about that image, like the EXIF data or the metadata, and that gives you details about where the picture was taken, what kind of camera took the picture, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not, photo forensics is not near as simple as like just a one click button type of thing. It absolutely requires a human to analyze the results, because you can get false positives. And this trail cam image, in the lower left corner, there is a logo, and it's from Wild Game Innovations. That's who made the trail cam and that took the picture. And then it's got a timestamp. And I'm reading the results that this guy says he got that proved it was photoshopped, and they didn't say this image is photoshopped. What they said was the image produced results that are similar to the results that you would see in a photoshopped image because of the compression rate anomalies. And in a JPEG image, you expect the entire image to be roughly the same compression level. But when you have anomalies, like where you see around the timestamp that you're showing, and
Mhm.
especially over here to the left where or it might be right. Yeah, when you really zoom in on that Wild Game logo, you can see the reds and the greens. Um, So that's a false positive. That one-click file decoder program gave back that result because, of course, it picked up compression rate anomalies similar to compression rate anomalies found in photoshopped images, because that is an auto-populated logo that's on every single trail cam image that a Wild Game Innovations camera takes. And so that was when I got to that point, that was a big deal for me. I was like, okay, we're on to something. Let's keep going.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, I went as far as to even I spoke to this was aired on the news, this picture. This woman, I know it by heart. Um Welcome back to NBC 33 News Morning Edition. The time is now 6:04. And she's like, so you know how we tell you to send, I'm telling you this verbatim. You know how we tell you to send in your pictures so we can show them on our newscast? Well, you've got to see what one viewer and she shows this picture. But here's the thing. The timestamp on the photo and the date are completely different. And the
Okay.
picture in the news image looks like it's a picture of a picture. It looks like somebody took a picture of a screen because you can kind of see
Mhm.
the glare. And all right, the guy who uploaded the photo originally, the date that you have here is the right date. It was taken 11/30/2010 and uploaded to the forum on December 2nd, 2010. Now the date on the photo that was broadcast on the news was December 4th, 2010. So if we know nothing else, we know that that's not the original picture, because how could he have uploaded it? You know, if he uploaded it to the forum on the 2nd, how did he take it on the 4th? How was it captured on the 4th? It made no
Exactly.
sense. So I try, why would someone do that? Someone went to a decent amount of trouble to change that timestamp. And I think I just today got some information from someone that when all this happened, a MUFON investigator went out and investigated because they had something that looked just like this on video on a trail cam that was very close to the vicinity that this picture was captured. And I'm still like, I can't really talk about that part yet because it's still, but
Of course, of
whoever
course. Yes.
whoever that pic okay, so someone was given this picture and told, you need to get this to the news stations. No one knows who the guy was. He wasn't from the community, and they have no idea where he went. But a guy showed up that no one had ever seen before. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna read you exactly what he said to me, because
Please, please.
it's wild. And I just found this out today. And shout out to Kyle for reminding me, because and this is all, see, this is Reddit. These are your gems on Reddit. Just awesome people that like really want to help. They're not trying to just put you down. Because when I put on Reddit that I didn't think this picture was fake, Ron, oh my goodness, they tore. Well, tried. I don't feel like they really tore me apart, but they were after me. Nobody was happy about it. Nobody was happy.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly. It's crazy that, ugh, how people are and how people
Well,
get.
and what's interesting to me, we think about hoaxers and we think about how they'll make up things that are fake and put them online so that they can trick people, but we rarely consider the links people will go to keep the it's a fake narrative
Mhm.
going. I mean, they'll make up their own evidence to keep that it's a fake narrative going. Okay, this guy says he may cuss. I don't know if you. I try not to say bad
That's all
words.
right. We'll do our best to, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think I've said some cuss words. Sorry,
That's
mom.
okay. No, no.
Okay, so let me see. Here we are. Oh, wrong one. Man, I really need to clean off this phone. Okay, we're getting there. Here we go. Okay, he says, well, there we go. All right. Let me tell you the background on this, my friend. And he was kind of defending me because some people have been a little harsh. Um, this was originally posted on a hunting forum. That's accurate. I was dealing with a similar type of creature on a video camera that was the subject of a serious MUFON investigation in Mississippi, and that's where I live. The game camera was from the Berwick, Louisiana area. That's accurate. Outside of New Orleans, the camera owner didn't want to be publicly identified but was seriously freaked out and gave to a buddy to see if he could find out something about it. That's when it appeared on local TV, and that's when it went viral, because it was somewhat, I'm not sure what he's saying here, because it was somewhat somewhere to the creature that we had. I think he meant somewhat similar to the creature that we had on videotape, and not that far away MUFON investigators also investigated this trail cam photo, which I think was from a few months earlier, but I'm not sure. It could have been after. The MUFON investigator, who was from Slidell, and I think Slidell is in Mississippi, but I would have to, it could be Louisiana, it doesn't matter. They contacted the news reporter on this, but at the time, she was declaring it was a fake. She told him that someone called in and told them it was a fake, that someone claimed to know the people involved. The MUFON investigator was able to get the name of the person who submitted the game camera photo to the news station, and not only did he deny it being a fake, he claimed he had never met or knew anything about the individual that handed him the photo and told him to turn it in. He also confirmed with the person who gave him the game camera photo that he had no clue who he was, who the MFer was, and neither did anybody else in that community. He said it was completely BS, but it spooked the camera owner even more after the guy dropped in, and he wanted nothing more to do with it. So, okay, it's a little confusing, but he's basically saying some guy comes in and says, "My buddy got this on his trail cam, and I need you to give it to the news." Says it to finds some random person and says, "I need you to give this to the news." I also spoke to the news broadcast woman who they're talking about, who said it was fake.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of how do you make a conversation with someone like that. I found her on LinkedIn, and I knew she had changed fields completely, and I'm like, how do I call this woman and say so I sent her flowers with my phone number, and she told me the exact thing that I just read from this guy, that she's like, but that was fake. And I'm like, well, what? I actually have this conversation on YouTube, and it's unlisted because she's got a completely different profession now, and out of respect
Okay.
for her privacy, but I send it to friends, so I'll send it to you. But
Okay,
she's
for
like,
sure.
that wasn't even real, and I'm like, well, what makes you say that? And she's like, well, they said it was this thing that they caught, and we didn't even do any research into it. We didn't do any due diligence, and I kind of got in trouble from my producer. He was like, you don't post things unless you've looked into them. And so I asked her, like, who where did it come from, like, what was the address? Well, she said it came from Facebook, but someone else on LinkedIn had told me that it was emailed from an email address with .mil at the end, not gmail.com, not yahoo.com, .mil, and that's military, which I found fascinating. When I couldn't understand why there was a disparity between Emily Turner. Okay, so that's not her maiden name. She's married now, and she doesn't have the name anymore. So Emily Turner was the news broadcast person who initially reported on the story. And I'm like, why is she telling me somebody sent it on Facebook, and this other person is saying they sent it from an email address? I got back on LinkedIn and I saw exactly why. And it was because I had accidentally emailed someone else from a news station that was also in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but it just wasn't the same station. So
Oh,
someone,
okay.
do you get where I'm going with this? They
Yep.
didn't just send this to one news station. Whoever was sending this sent it to who knows how many. And at this point,
They
10 years
blanketed
have
it
passed.
kind of thing, maybe, possibly.
I think so, yeah. That, I don't know why. I don't know why the date was changed, but I cannot for the life of me figure why someone went to a decent amount of trouble to edit that photo and change it and then get it on the news. Because if we know they sent it to two news stations, how many more could they have sent it to, right?
Exactly,
And so
exactly.
my thoughts on that are, you change one tiny little bit of information on something like that, and it calls into question the entire credibility of the image. And so, oh yeah, the dates are wrong, so it's fake. And and then the internet takes care of the rest. So
Yeah, you're correct. They just eat it alive, and they just rip it apart, and that's it. Wow, you've done some deep dives on this. You definitely have done some deep dives on this, and I don't want to hold you too much longer, but you know, it because I know we're running a little bit late. But
oh,
is
it's
there
fine. I was
anything?
late. It's fine.
No, no, no worries, no worries. Is there anything else you want to bring up about this or anything else?
Yeah, so okay. I'm not a obviously, I'm not a professional photo forensics person. I did take a I spent a lot of time learning about it. Um So I thought for the documentary, I'm going to take the lie detector. I'm going to do this. I want to hire an actual photo forensics person to go take me seriously. First of all, because it's hard to find people to take you seriously when you're sending them a picture like this.
Of course.
And I want to have them go through it and tell me what's up. So I get on freelancer.com, and I even paid for the service where a recruiter will help you find someone. And so people are applying, and they don't know any more than I do. Like, I'm asking them, what methods are you going to use? And so they list off all these methods. And one of them tells me, well, I'm going to look at the layers. No, you're not, man, because JPEG, they don't have layers. There's no layers to a JPEG. What are you talking about? And so finally, the recruiter was like, Missy, I'm just going to give you a heads up. Look, no human alive is going to be able to analyze this photo the way AI could analyze it. So I'm going to send you a link. And so he did. And I put the picture through the AI, and we went through all the prompts, and it would come back and give me the answers. And at the end of it, this was the best part. The final question I asked, I was like, what are the odds that a photo that was captured 13 years ago, 11 years, whatever, was okay, 2010, and now we're in 2024. So how long is that? I can't math good, right? What is that? 11 years, 14 years? I don't even know. 2010, come on, Missy. 2010 to
14
2020.
years?
There we go.
14
Right.
years. Yes.
I think I said 13 though, because I think I did this in December. Yeah. So I'm like, what are the odds that an image that was manipulated 13 years ago could escape the image manipulation detection techniques that we have today? And it's virtually impossible. And AI did not pick up any manipulation around the creature. Um, Everything was uniform. There was a low noise level, but it was across the whole image. I mean, AI did analysis that I didn't even know were possible. There were about 16 different things it ran, and it found no evidence of manipulation. Yeah.
Wow, that is fantastic. So you've done all this research on this photo, just to prove that it's legit, and this is what you saw pretty much, and you said there was another photo, as well. So why don't we well, we don't have it handy right now, but I will pop it up in the screen in a little bit. So I'm just going to add the other photo back up, and we'll put it into this place. So why don't
Okay.
you tell me what this photo that you're going to send to me looks like?
Okay, so I'm gonna actually send you a series of short clips, and I have written consent to like use these in the documentary or any kind of advertising I want. I can pass that on to you if you want. There
Perfect.
are
Okay, so why don't we put them all in at this point,
Yeah,
and
that'd be
and
good.
you tell me, oh, you tell me what's going on.
Okay, let me get to my list. All right. So Rick Grabenek, I mentioned him earlier, and he had one of these things coming up in his backyard, and a lot of people say that his video is fake. He had I keep putting him wrong password for my phone. What is my he had a lot of people just really give you a hard time. So it doesn't surprise me that nobody comes forward with this stuff because they can just be so hateful. But he's okay. This video with Rick Grabenek, and I'm currently in touch with him, and so I'm super excited about that. But he's having weird things happen at his house, and he's asleep on the couch one night, and he hears something open the screen door, and so he's like, "I'm gonna take video." So he's sitting on his sun porch, and he's got his iPad in the screened in area, and he's sitting back, and he calls his preacher because he's terrified. And what you're looking at is a humanoid creature, and it's moving all weird. When I saw that, I knew he wasn't full of it because the way this thing moves, it's pretty. It's the same thing I described when I said you can read a
Okay.
story written by someone who has experienced something very similar to what you have, and you just know they're telling the truth. It's the same with watching this thing move. The way it kind of was like it'll bob and weave. It's not no coordination there. It's real. It's so
Really, the
freaky.
gangly kind of thing, or
Yes, and it's
Mhm.
doing this. It's like all curious looking. So there was that one that, and then when I saw that, I commented and said, you know, guys, there's this other video of a moose on the side of the road in Canada being stalked by this pale white humanoid, and it's moving the same way. Now a lot of people try to tell me that's a blob on a windshield, but you'll have from me the I stabilized it side by side, and then I stabilized the original. And the woman who took the video, she didn't notice this pale creature when she took the video. They were just recording a moose on the side of the road because I guess that people do that. I don't know. Well, yeah, mooses, they're big. I remember the first time I saw a moose. So yeah, it's something to stop
Of
and
course,
record.
of course. Yeah, you
Yeah,
stop and you take some pictures and take some videos, of course.
right. Yeah. Um, but you can see this thing. It's like kind of stalking it, and the way it's moving. So then there's another video. It's amazing how many video you don't have videos like this of Bigfoot. You might get a blur, or people say, "Oh, you filmed that with a potato," and it's like, of course, Idaho. Like, what, you're still using Nikon? Um, it's not easy to get pictures of things like this. Look, I'll tell you, when I saw that thing in the road, the last thing on my mind was picking up my camera or phone or whatever and getting a good picture for everybody to look at. I was thinking, I don't know what I was thinking, but it wasn't about getting a picture. So usually these videos are taken by mistake, like they accidentally capture it, or like in Rick's case, he was fed up because weird things were happening, and he puts the thing in his screen porch, and it's long, it's a long video, but the so you've got that one, you've got the guy, or the one on the side of the road stalking the moose. People say it's a smudge on the windshield. I want to smack them every time I hear that. That is not a smudge on windshield. I mean, their opinion is valid, I guess. I just strongly disagree. Then the other most compelling one I could think of is this guy's in an ice cave, and I want to say Armenia, and it could have been a different country, or Austria. Anyway, he's in an ice cave and he's filming, and he's like, the camera pans up and you see this pale humanoid creature scaling the side of this ice cave, just like leg at like arm over leg over arm over leg. And it looks just like the thing in Rick's yard, and it looks just like the moose on the side of the road. No, I mean, not just like, but the
But pretty
similarities.
similar.
Oh, so similar that, like, how can you even deny it? Um, I mean, it's wild, and there's more. There's a lot of them. The most recent one is these people from Kentucky caught one on their security camera, and it's walking like on it's not like crawling like you see most of them. It's bipedal, and you can hear the people talking. And unfortunately, it's a video of a video, and you get that a lot with things like this. But it looked just like, I mean, they all look so similar. Dogs said hello. It's just, I don't understand how. Well, I do understand, because they're scared. People are scared. You don't want to believe something like that exists. To believe something like that exists is to be uncomfortable all the time. So, yep. I mean, because I have actual permission to use those videos, but there's a lot out there. I mean, people, there's the Nukes top 5 list or whatever. Those, they have all kinds of crazy videos, and of course, some of them could be fake, but all of them, is there a conspiracy that's been going on for thousands of years? We all get together and decide, look, we're gonna make up some stories about these bald humanoids, and let's keep it going, guys. And my great grandmother told me, and her great grandmother told her. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's highly unlikely. So,
No, of course, of course. Yeah. So, Missy, yeah, if you can share those with us, we're gonna would have had them on already. So we've been playing while we're talking. So that would be awesome. I'm really looking forward to that, definitely. And I want to say thank you so much for making the time. And
oh,
even
absolutely.
having your internet go out. Having the line cut and still making it. That is great. I really want to say thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We should get together and talk again, because I need to tell you about the story I found about the live giant that was caught in Alabama in the
What?
1877.
What?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yes, we're gonna
yeah.
stop
Let's talk
right
about.
here because that is I definitely want to hear more of that one, Missy.
Oh, it's the
Definitely.
best story I can't believe I even came across this. Yeah, I'm excited. That's what I'm working on right now, among other things, but I'm really excited about that one.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm game. I'm totally game for that. Missy, this has been fantastic. I really want to say thank you for, spending the time and talking to us and telling us about your experience and about your research, because it that this experience has spurned you and created a, I don't know, a drive, just this this new goal in your life, which is
It's madness, but I love
Mhm.
it. I
Yes,
love it.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I
Well,
definitely
thank
want to say
you.
thank you so much,
I
Missy.
I feel like I'm the lucky one for being able to come on and talk to you. I've had
Oh,
so much fun. It was like talking to a friend.
oh,
I really enjoyed it. Thank
I
you.
agree. I agree. Thank you so much, Missy, and we will get back to you here right away.
All right. Wait.
All right. So I want to say thank you to Missy. Wow, we could have kept on talking and talking. That was great. She's done a lot of research. It seems to be that I keep finding people that have done so much research. Like Missy with her pale walkers or crawlers. We got Sebastian with his UFOs. Michelle Costa with the UFOs as well, and just so many, and Walter Bosley with all his research on portals and the ley lines. It's been great. This is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to collect all this information and pass it on to you. And so again, that's for you, the listener, you, the watcher. That is what this is for. It's for you to acquire more knowledge and to just grow and to come along on this journey with us as we try to figure out what is going on. And like I always say, keep your curiosities wandering and ensure that the light remains lit. I look forward to our next adventure together as we navigate the mysteries that lie ahead. Until our paths cross again, keep your curiosity wandering and ensure the light remains lit. Click that like. If you're new here, subscribe and have the bell hit for notifications to stay up to date on all of the new content.
Dude,
Yeah, let's send him off.
happy 4th.
Happy 4th indeed.
Lighter up.
Are you an idiot? Watch out. That's pretty cool, man.
I wanted it to go up in the air, man.
It was still cool.
Set off another one or so.
Yeah. But, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, you go first.
Oh, fuck
It's
you.
a farm animal.
I don't like this.
Get low, get low.
What do you think it is?
Turn the flash off a little bit.
No. Whatever it is, I don't fucking see it. What is that?
Should I throw a firework at it?
Let's try to see what that is. What the hell? You ready to go first? Oh, fuck. What is that? Do you hear that? Do you hear that? What is that? Dude, what is that? Dude, we need to get the hell out of here. I'm not getting near that. I'm not getting near that. Dude, we gotta get the hell out of here.
Should I throw a firework at it?
No. Run. We get the hell out of here. Oh, yeah, get it. We need to get the car.
Go get it. Go see
We
if
need to
it's
get the car.
injured. No, go see if it's injured.
We need to get the car.
Dude, this is Snap Gold. Go get it.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, man, you got the phone.
Dude, what? Is it still there?
Go! No!
Run! Run! We gotta take the car. What the fuck? What the hell? What the hell? Whoa, whoa.
Thanks for watching NBC 33 News Morning Edition. The time is 6:26. Okay, so you know how we ask you to send in your pics so we can put them in our newscast? Well, you got to see what one viewer claims his friend found at a hunting camp in Berwick. I really don't even know what that is. The guy who sent it in didn't want us to mention his name, but tells us this is totally for real. He says last week and his friend's family found one of their hunting camps destroyed, but the SIM card was still there, and so was this crazy image. I put the pic up on Facebook, and this is what some of you had to say about it. Steven says, keep going down, this is a computer-generated Photoshop image, and it's definitely not real. Okay, the next guy says, bring it up, those swamp people need to eat some food with those 2-inch biceps, okay. And our next person says, hey, I've got one that my friend snapped up here in North Louisiana with the same cam. Stance alien girl-looking thing floating in the background. So here's that pic. Okay, really creepy, isn't it? And we got the music to go along with it.
Oh, that's way too scary. That's way too scary. No way. Especially with it being so cold outside, it already makes the shadows look spookier.
I mean,
I can't even watch scary movies. I'm such a sissy with that stuff.
I know.
Like, I have to, no, it's not real.
But at least we put it in the morning and not at the 10 o'clock show.
I mean,
because
that'll wake you up.
I mean, nightmares. I was here at midnight looking at that image by myself going, oh my gosh. Anyways, the time is 6:28. Let's talk about
Something else.
something else
Yeah,
right
something
now.
that's not so